We're back live. Got the techno lights in the back, making it very hard for me to see. Therefore, having to use a fucking flashlight to see my notes I've written down here. Good on sound. That's good. 256 coming up. Should have been two title fights. Amanda Nunes, Megan Anderson, of course, being scratched from this weekend. Damn cold out here, I'll tell you that much. Starting off the card, we got Junior Dos Santos versus Cyril Gagne. Dos Santos on a 3-fight losing streak comes in at a plus 340 underdog. He's been knocked out by Francis Ngannou, Curtis Blades, and Jonizo Rosenstreich back in August for his last three fights. He's 21-8, 15 out of 21 of his wins via TKO or knockout. 6 out of 8 of his losses via TKO or knockout. He's 36 years old, so he's climbing. He's about to go over the hill. Gagne is 30 years old, 7-0 in pro Muay Thai, 6-0 in MMA, 3-0 in the UFC with submission wins over Rafael Pessoa and Dontel Mays, and then a decision win in his most recent fight against Tanner Boser, December 2019. So been about a year since he's fought last. 5 out of 6 of his wins via finish, 2 knockouts, 3 submissions. So he trains with Francis Ngannou. He's got the power of Francis Ngannou, but he also has a very, very good grappling game, which, is something that, and let's not beat around the bush, it's something that Francis Ngannou doesn't really have. He's got a little bit of a grappling game, but it's not nearly Cyril Gagne's grappling. I think them two working together is going to be great for the both of them as far as Gagne's striking and Ngannou's grappling. So I got Gagne in that fight. I think it's going to be pretty easy. I think he's going to dominate the stand-up. The fight goes to the ground. Going to be pretty comfortable there, too. I got Gagne by unanimous decision or by knockout. Kevin Holland versus Jacare Souza. Kevin Holland was originally supposed to fight Jack Hermanson last weekend. He got COVID, so they moved him 1 week back, which was surprising. After a negative test, his fight is officially it's not official until Friday, but he will be fighting Jacare this Saturday. 20-5 he is. Never been knocked out in his career. 16 out of 20 his wins via finish. 9 TKOs, 7 submissions on his career. This will be his 5th fight in 2020. He's 4-0 in 2020. TKOs over Anthony Hernandez, Joaquin Buckley, and Charlie Otaverios. And then a decision win over Darren Stewart. So by far, Jacare is going to be his biggest challenge he's ever fought in his entire career. He's 7-2 in the UFC. His only losses were Thiago Santos, who's now light heavyweight, and then Brendan Allen via submission. He is a black belt in jiu-jitsu and a second-degree black belt in Kung Fu. So a lot of people thought that Jacare was going to be able to come in and just dominate with his grappling and his submission attacks, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Kevin Holland's got great grappling, and this fight's going to be mostly contested on the feet, in my opinion. So it's 26-8-1, 14 wins via submission, 8 via TKO. So that takes his total to 22 out of 26 of his wins coming by finish. He is on a 2-fight losing streak at the moment, with decision losses to Jack Hermanson and Han Blachowicz, who is now the light heavyweight title holder. He's a 4th-degree black belt in jiu-jitsu and a black belt in judo as well. 4th-degree black belt, so he's obviously more he's going to have the advantage grappling, I'd say. But I just think that people shouldn't sleep on Kevin Holland's grappling, especially submissions off his back. And if he gets on top, you forget about it. I think Jacare is going to be a little bit stronger of a guy than Kevin Holland. But, with Kevin Holland striking mixed in with his ability to get the fight back to his feet and or fight with submissions off his back is going to be great to see. Jacare, though, worthy of noting, has 2 gold medals and 3 silver medals in ADCC, 8 gold medals and 2 silver medals in Worlds Jiu-Jitsu Championships. So, his grappling is not in question at all. Jacare came into the UFC. He's always been a very, very good grappler, and people have always been scared to go to the ground with him. I don't think that's going to be the case with Kevin Holland, but I also think that Kevin Holland would probably rather this fight stay standing. So I'm going to go Kevin Holland probably by decision. That line is close. I think they got it -115, Holland -105, Souza. So it's pretty much dead even in Vegas, but I'm going to lean towards Kevin Holland on that one. Hanato Morcano versus Rafael Fiziev. Morcano is 14-3-1. He won his last fight via submission over Damir Hadzovic. All that drama happened after the fight where he was getting all hype, and the funny line from Hadzovic, if you wanted to keep fighting, you shouldn't have submitted me. That was back in March. He has 3 losses in the UFC. Those were to Brian Ortega via submission, Jose Aldo, and the Korean Zombie via TKO. 7 out of 14 has wins via submission. He has no TKO wins in his career, and he's 6-3 in the UFC. So predominantly a grappler. Fizev is 29-4 as a pro Muay Thai fighter, 8-1 in the UFC, with his only loss being a TKO loss to Magomed Mustafayev. He's 2-1 in the UFC. His other two UFC fights were decision wins over Alex White and Mark DeCasey. So again, Fizev, this is going to be his biggest challenge to date. Is going to be Hanato Morcano. And he's coming in at a slight favor. I think minus 150 to Marcano's plus 130. So I think I'm going to go with Fizev as well. Every fight starts standing, unless you got that good judo background like Jacare Souza does. It's kind of hard for jiu-jitsu guys to get the fight to the ground if they're fighting a guy with good takedown defense. They have to do it up against the cage, trips, pulling him down, takedowns against the cage. And Fizev is a really, really quick guy. He's quick on his feet. He's got great striking, great defense. I think he'll be able to stay on the outside, pick and pop his way to a decision if he doesn't end up finishing Morcano in the first couple rounds. Tony Ferguson, Charles Oliveira in the co-main event is absolute violence. Ferguson 25-4, only been finished twice in his career. He got TKO'd by Gaethje, and that was back in May. Then he got submitted by Jamie Toney before he was in the UFC back in 2009. So almost we're looking at almost 12 years now. He has UFC wins over Josh Thompson, Edson Barboza, Rafael dos Anjos, Kevin Lee, Anthony Pettis, and Don Cerrone. 20 out of 25 of his wins via finish, 12 TKOs and 8 submissions. Oliveira is 29-8-1 with 19 of his wins coming by submission. He's currently on a 7-fight winning streak. And those wins include, he's got UFC wins that include Jeremy Stevens, Clay Guida, Jim Miller, Jared Gordon, and Kevin Lee. And he's got losses to Paul Feldner at lightweight, Carl Lamas, Anthony Pettis, and Max Holloway all at 145. Common opponent, you guys see Kevin Lee, Anthony Pettis. Kevin Lee, both guys beating Anthony Pettis. Only Ferguson beating, and Oliveira lost to Anthony Pettis at 145. Ferguson comes in minus 170. I think that's appropriate. I think Ferguson should be able to dominate the fight standing. If the fight goes to the ground, it's going to be crazy scrambles from both of these guys, who are both great jiu-jitsu fighters. Ferguson with 10th Planet, and then Oliveira being in Brazil. But he's a great jiu-jitsu fighter. And if the fight goes to the ground, I think the scrambles are going to be insane, but I think Tony Ferguson is going to be able to keep it standing for the most part. So I'm going to go Tony Ferguson. Stevenson Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno. Both guys fought November 21st, 2020. Figueiredo defended his belt against Alex Perez. Moreno beat Brandon Royval via TKO. Figueiredo is 20-1 with his only loss being to José Formiga in March 2019. Since then, he's on a 5-fight winning streak, beating Alejandro Pantoja, Tim Elliott, Joseph Benavidez twice, and Alex Perez. Moreno is 18-5-1, never been finished in his career, 10 wins by submission. A brown belt in jiu-jitsu compared to Figueiredo's black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's on a 3-fight winning streak with decisions over Kai Kara France and José Formiga. And, of course, that TKO against Brandon Royval just about a month ago, or less than a month ago, maybe like 2 weeks ago. 7-2-1 in the UFC. I think Brandon Moreno's path to winning the fight is going to be in taking the fight down and being able to have dominant wrestling and also trying to work in some submissions. Now, that's where you kind of say, well, then you think Figueiredo is going to be a lock, because Figueiredo's got a black belt, Moreno's got a brown belt. You hold that with a little bit of a grain of salt, because, for all we know, Moreno could be in the gym every day. His coach could be waiting for this fight to give him his black belt. He could be a black belt as well. They could be just as good as each other on the ground, which could lead to a little bit of an upper hand towards Moreno if the fight goes to the ground. But standing up, there's no stopping Figueiredo's power, and he's not going to get knocked out by Moreno, I don't think. I think that Figuero's got the puncher's chance standing up, and then Figuero's got the puncher's chance on the ground trying to work his submissions. But I'm gonna overall just give it to Figuero. Figuero, minus 300 favorite. I hate going with the favorites. I love the underdogs, but in this fight in particular, it just seems like Figuero standing and him catching a quick knockout would be easily the betting favorite over Moreno getting the fight to the ground, working his wrestling in, throwing some submissions, and actually catching Figuero. I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm going to go Figuero, probably TKO first, second round. Brings us to prelims, which are a little bit undecided at the moment. Cub Swanson versus Daniel Pineda, Mackenzie Dern versus Vierna Jadorbia. Tisha Torres has found an opponent. I will look that up for you guys right now. I think actually both fights that got canceled a few days ago found opponents, if I'm not mistaken. But let me just look real quick. No, the UFC. Yes, Tisha Torres will fight Sam Hughes, who will be making her UFC debut. Gavin Tucker will be fighting Billy Quarantillo. Sergey Spivak will be fighting Jared Verderia. And Chase Hooper will be fighting Peter Barrett. They also have announced that the UFC is looking for a replacement to fight Li Jinglang, as he was supposed to fight Dwight Grant. Dwight Grant backing out of the fight due to COVID test. So we're looking for a replacement with that fight. If not, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 fight card. If they do add a fight for Li Jingling, we're looking at a 12 fight card. Either way, definitely something to look forward to. Not this weekend, but next weekend after that. December 19th will be the last card of the year. They're stacking that card like I don't know what. I will look really quick to just look at a tally of the fights right now, and I know they're adding more because pretty much nobody wants to wait till January. So every fight that got scrapped last week or could possibly get scrapped this week is most likely moving to the 19th. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 as of right now fights booked for the 19th. Jimmy Flick, Cody Durnan from last week getting on there. Jillian Robinson, Taylor Santos is supposed to be this week. That's getting on there. Carl Robinson, DeLucia Lumbula is was supposed to be this week. That's getting on there. No other ones that I could see that got canceled, but I mean that's 3 fights right off the bat. That would have been 13 fights. Oh shit! They got Michelle Pereira versus Chaos Williams. That's gonna be a good fight. Marlon Moraes, Rob Font, Greg Hardy versus Marcin Tybura. This is a stacked card. This is how they should have done the anniversary card, the November 12th. That's UFC was started. First UFC ever was November 12th, 1993. So you would think that every year on the weekend of November 12th, where November 12th is a Thursday, and then the fight's on the 14th. That weekend should always have a stacked card. I mean, we're talking about 16 fights. Throw that on your anniversary card, man. That's a fucking 7 to 1. That's 3, 6. We're talking about like 8, 9 hour fucking fight card. You know what I mean? Put that on the anniversary weekend. I'll put that on the last fight. Because honestly, if I was them and I had 16 fights for the 19th and I was looking to book more, I would just split it. I'd give you two little cards, one on the 19th, one the week after that. Or if you don't want the week after that, the week after that. Because I think Christmas is the Friday, so I know they want to take off. They want to give everybody off for the Christmas. I understand that. The next weekend is New Year's weekend. It's the first is New Year's. That's Friday. Saturday is the second. So I mean, New Year's is over. Bang, have a good one on the second, because I think the first card of January is on the 16th. So we're looking at 3 weeks no UFC after having, since the pandemic started, we've had a UFC event pretty much every weekend. And then we're gonna start the year off going 3 weeks no UFC. It's fucking weird. And you got 16 fights going on December 19th. Plus, you could be adding more. I don't know. If they had 2 more fights, I wouldn't be surprised to see them split it and go 9-9. if the fighters want to, because if the fighter gets a contract on the 19th, he doesn't have to move. He doesn't have to go to the January 2nd or anything like that. He's contracted to fight on the 19th, so I would think they're going to get themselves in a little bit of a sticky situation, but we will see. Until next week, holler at me, stay barbecued, send me your shit. Hit me up on Twitter, the barbecue pit _live. Hit me up, brothers. See you next week.